You can't be what you can't see, right or wrong? I'm going to go with wrong on this one. I'll tell you why. What's up, fam? I'm Dr. Dale, and you're listening to the Permission to Be Great podcast, a place where our goal is to help you walk in your greatness on a daily basis. Hey, look, we're going to dive right in because this one is important to me, very important to me, right? And those of you guys who've known me for a while, follow our stuff, watched our Black Men and White Coats documentary, you're going to understand why this one's important to me just by what I just said about you can't be what you can't see. Okay, but before we dive into it, hey, if you want me to keep on making more videos, hit that subscribe button. If you don't want me to keep on making more videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button anyways. All right. Either ways, we're winning. The assignment. Just hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate it, man. Just doing our best to grow this channel and to bring you guys some good, legit, meaningful content that you can actually grow with, right? Not just some little bit stuff out here that you listen to and just to entertain. This is real, legit stuff to help you grow, right? So let's dive right into it. All right. So the where this comes from. You can't be what you can't see, where this episode comes from. So those of you, some of you know, some of you don't. So a few years ago, we made a documentary. The documentary was called Black Men in White Coats. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube and who don't recognize me from Black Men in White Coats, Black Men in White Coats is an organization that I started about 10 years ago. Been running it with my older brother. We're both medical doctors. And the mission really was just to kind of inspire, equip, encourage, mentor the next generation of physicians from diverse backgrounds, right? You don't have to be Black, but just from diverse backgrounds, just to give you guys some guidance and support along the journey, right? So we started that. It's been going great. We have events all across the country, and that's amazing. Check us out, bmwcevents.com. However, a few years ago, what we did was we put out a documentary film. I brought in my director, Micah Autry, and we put out a really, really nice documentary film. It did amazing, did great. Majority of medical schools in the country screened it, etc., and it did phenomenal. One of the main themes that came out of that documentary film was this thing that I said in the film. I said a lot. I said, you can't be what you can't see, right? And it's not, I didn't make it up. People started giving me credit for it. I did not make that line up. But I tell you, after I said it, it went rampant. Right, it went rampant. Everybody started saying it was all over the place. I was getting messages about you can't be what you can't see. I flew across the country, just on my speaking gigs, and that would always come up. You can't be what you can't see, and it almost became like a rally cry type of thing. And it was a theme throughout the documentary. And while it feels though it was somewhat important to be said, I'm not gonna say I made a mistake by us pushing that as a main theme in the film. However, I find myself now kind of taking a back step to clarify why you can be what you can't see. You can be what you can't see, right? It's a nuanced thing, but we're going to talk about that here in this episode. It's very important. Everybody needs to hear this. Everybody needs to pay attention to this general concept, because if you don't, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? You're setting yourself up for failure, right? So you can be what you can't see, right? Let's talk about three main things around that. You can be what you can't see. So the first reason is really important. The first reason I'm going against this general theme that kind of ran across the country after the documentary came out is because it's a limiting belief. It's a limiting belief. When we say you can't be what you can't see, what I don't want to do is to teach you, to teach, my neighbor, to teach the kids, to teach whoever might hear the words that come out of my, I don't want to teach you that you can't do something. That has never been anything that I believe. I've always believed I can do anything, right? And people think I'm crazy, I'm off my rocker, and maybe I am. But I've never had a limiting belief type of mindset, right? So, when we were saying you can't be what you can't see, that was just meant to be a general cry for like, hey, let's get more people out here helping the youth, right? It wasn't meant to be something where people say, you know what, you're right, I can't do that because I can't see it. My kids can't do that because I can't see it. And I feel bad because in the film I pushed that, but it wasn't intended. I didn't intend for it to come up that way. So you don't want to have self-limiting beliefs, right? You don't want to start putting yourself in a prison. You don't want to start telling yourself, oh, I am the way I am because this is all I've been exposed to. Therefore, I don't need to go try to get more. Very, very self-limiting belief, right? Leading yourself down a pathway to destruction, a pathway to failure, leading yourself to I'm not going to say a suboptimal life, but leading yourself to a place where the potential that God has given you, so much more that you had that you can go after, you're leaving on the table, and so many people day in and day out just walk around with this I can't do this mentality. And I hear it all the time, and it drives me absolutely crazy when I'm hearing people say they can't do something. In my household, my kids better know that the word can't is not allowed. We don't use that word. I can't do that. when they say they know they're going to immediately get a look from daddy being like, what? What'd you just say? Because we don't use that word. Because I don't believe in limiting yourself, right? I don't believe in limiting yourself, right? So you don't want to do that. And there's examples all around us, the whole world, right? A few examples, right? Again, we're a basketball fan. We pay attention to basketball. One of the biggest recent examples was this guy, Hansel Emmanuel. Hansel Emmanuel, he's an individual. I've been watching him for several years now playing basketball. He has one arm. He plays at a very, very high level of basketball. I'm talking about he's crossing people over. He's stealing the ball. He's using one hand to cross them over, to in and out, double cross, pull up, dunking on people with one hand. People would have told him that he can't do that. You can't be a professional athlete. You can't play basketball. You can't play D1 collegiate high level basketball. You can't. Yes, I can. Right? Sound like Herman from Nutty Professor. Yes, I can. Right? Yes, I can. And Hansel Emmanuel said he could. He believed that he could, and he's doing it. No self-limiting behavior. Right? Second example, Helen Keller. There's a million examples, but these are two that I want to give you guys. Helen Keller, absolutely amazing example. So I don't even know if they still teach Helen Keller stuff very much. So, my younger audience who listens to this, you guys may or may not know Helen Keller. But Helen Keller, she was an individual born, I believe, in Alabama or something, back in the day, way back in the early 1900s or something like that, maybe 1800s. Fact check me, I don't know. Right? She was born, but when she at a young age, like less than 2 years old or so, she got an illness. They said it was either meningitis or scarlet fever or something. She got sick. She got an infection, and that infection led her to be deaf and blind. Not just deaf, not just blind. She was deaf and blind. Imagine all the doubt. Imagine all the naysayers. Imagine all the reasons that she would have had to believe that she can't make something meaningful out of her life. Helen, you can't read. So that means you can't learn anything. That means you can't, you can't read the instructions to do this. You can't build that, right? Helen, you can't see, right? Helen, you can't hear. Helen, you can't. Yes, she could. Helen Keller ended up becoming a phenomenal individual. Educated, she was a professor, accomplished many things, prolific writer. While people were saying that she can't, people were giving her reason not to go out and chase her greatness. She turned that down and said, yes, I can. And she did. So these are the things that have been going through my heart really the past, we put the film out, I believe, in 2021. So really the past, 3 years now, at the time of this podcast episode, have been just eating at me. That people will watch the film and they'll hear this belief about you can't be what you can't see. And again, while there is reason for that to be said, and while there's a little bit of truth, and we'll explain it here in a second, to that, I don't want people to take that as permission to limitation. Remember, this is permission to be great. Greatness eliminates limits. Greatness eliminates your so-called supposed limits. Right? So the first thing is to know that you have to eliminate the can't belief. Eliminate the can't belief, okay? Second thing, very important, okay? And this is the nuanced part of it, right? This is a very nuanced part of it. Before you see it with your eyes, you need to see it with your mind. Before you see it with your eyes, you need to see it with your mind. So the documentary I'm talking about, you can't be what you can't see, right? And again, I'm going to reiterate, I did not make that up. I heard it first from Jocelyn Elders. She came down to Dallas, and I went to an event with her. I got to see her speak. That's where I heard from former Surgeon General Jocelyn Elders. But actually, there's documentation that somebody else said it, so maybe she got it from them. I don't know. However, when people talk about you can't be what you can't see, right? When I was saying that in the film, when we're talking about this stuff, people generally talking about what you physically can't see with your eyes, right? You physically can't see it with your eyes. However, I dare say that many, I don't know if I want to use the word most, but many individuals who've gone off to do great, amazing things in life first saw it in their minds and their heart before they saw it with their eyes. Before you go off and achieve whatever it is that you're chasing, that greatness you're chasing, you have to be able to see it in your mind first. You've got to be able to see it in your mind first. I mean, think about all these athletes who talk about this idea of visualization. visualization, right? So many of these great athletes will tell you that before games, they sit down there with your eyes closed and just kind of visualize themselves going out there and having a phenomenal game, having a great game, whatever sport it is, right? This idea of visualization is because they're seeing it first in their mind. Then they go out there and look for it with their eyes. They want to see it happening with your eyes, but you see it in your mind first. That's really important. So, and this is what really got me throughout all this thing, because I was like, man, we're going across the country, and we have these summits, we have these Black Men and White Coast Youth Summits across the whole entire country, right? And some of these kids now are thinking, hey, you can't be what you can't see, which might not directly apply to those kids as it pertains to our mission, because they're all at our summits, but in thinking of other things in life, that they can't be something because they haven't seen it. But the message that I need them to understand, the message that I need you to understand, right? Because this most important right now is you who's watching this. The message I need you to understand is, if you can see it in your mind, you can achieve it. You can do it. Humans are amazingly complex and capable. We're amazingly complex and capable, right? I've seen estimates that the human brain has up to 86 billion cells. 86 billion. 86 billion. That's a billion with a B. 86 billion cells in the human brain. And each one of those, so each neuron per second can fire off 1,000 times. Do the math. 86 billion cells, right? That's cells, but then we're talking about neurons specifically. Each neuron can fire off 1,000 times per second. That's a high computing factor. That's crazy. The human brain is amazing. Keeping that in mind and thinking about who your creator is, right? So I'm big on this idea. The Bible says God created man and woman. He created them in his image, in the image of God. Doesn't necessarily mean, I'm not sure, I don't know, whatever, I'm not a Bible scholar, but that doesn't necessarily, I don't believe that necessarily means that we physically look like God, but I believe it suggests that we have similar characteristics. God creates, we have the ability to create in some shape, form, or fashion, or invent, whatever you want to call it, right? And that doesn't just mean invent things. Think about it. Everybody's where's my phone? But everybody's got an iPhone now, or whatever, Android or something, a very complicated piece of technology in your hand that 30 years ago did not exist. But a guy by the name of Steve Jobs came around and he saw it in his mind. You didn't even know you needed an iPhone. Now you can't walk out your house without it. But he saw it in his mind first, right? Same thing. It's not just the technology. You can see yourself in your mind first and go out and design yourself to the way that you want to be. Right? See it in your mind first. And once you see it in your mind, do the things you need to do to make it a reality. Going back to this idea of limiting beliefs, one of my favorite this came to mind to me. One of my favorite Olympic moments is 1996 vault competition. The 1996 vault competition with Kerri Strug. Kerri Strug is doing the vault, right? She's running. Boom, takes her vault, hits her hands on there, does her flips in the air, boom, lands, high sprained ankle, high ankle injury, right? She's in pain. She can't walk. She's limping. Her teammates coming helping her, her coach teammate helping her kind of get back, and she can't walk. She's really in pain, a lot of pain. And people think, oh, it's over. Kerri Strug, she possibly can't take another jump. The U.S. is going to lose this event, all because Kerri Strug got hurt. The U.S. cannot win anymore. She didn't accept the word can't. She got back up there with that ankle injury, ran as fast as she could, bounced off that thing, hit that vault, spun, did her pirouettes, her spins, her flips in the air, boom, landed the stick, got up on one foot on the stick, did a little pose that they do afterwards. Crowd goes wild. Coach comes off, carries her off. USA wins. Because she did not put that can't self-limiting barrier on herself. So you can do it. You can do it. Right. So the first one was eliminate the word can't. Right. Eliminate the concept can't from who you are as a person. Right. And of course, this is within reason. Right. The second thing is see it in your mind before you see it with your eyes. It's like saying, hey, how am I supposed to become this thing if I've never met anybody who does it? How am I supposed to become a medical doctor? I've never met anybody who becomes a medical doctor. Well, I mean, goodness gracious, who was the first pilot? Was it the Wright brothers? I don't know if they were the actual first pilots or just made the plane first to fly. I know they had somebody else at the same time who was working on the plane too. But the Wright brothers had never seen a pilot before they got in an airplane and flew in the sky. All right. So, I mean, these are things to think about. We don't want to limit ourselves. If we can imagine it, if we can envision it, right? I mean, Steve Jobs is the one who said it. Steve Jobs said, just look around you, everything around you, from this pen to my hat, to the laptop I'm recording now, right? To this microphone, to the lights around me, everything around you was made by a human being, just like you. Just like you. And once you come to the realization that everything around you was made by a person who is a human being like you are, that lets you understand how truly powerful you can be in terms of making other things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're God or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just powerful to the point of, hey, you can do more than you believe you can do. You can do more than you believe you can do. The third thing you want to do, right? When we talk about you can be what you can't see. You can be what you can't see. The third thing that you want to do is you want to network. You want to network with other people. And then this is when you actually might get a chance to see it, what you've been trying to do, right? This is when you get a chance to see it. Because think about it. Everybody at some point hasn't seen what they became, right? I'm a medical doctor, for the first few years of my life, whatever, hadn't seen it. Well, I guess a lot of us are actually born by medical doctors. So that's a bad example, okay? But let's go back to the pilot example, right? Most pilots at some point in life hadn't seen a pilot. Eventually you will see it. But the idea is, how do you get yourself to that point where you can see it without having to rely on somebody else doing it for you? This is all about being responsible for your own success. This is all about, Hill Harper. Hill was in our documentary, Black Men in White Coats. And, I've had to spend a little bit of, talking to Hill about different stuff, right? And one of the things that Hill always talks about is being an architect of your own life. An architect of your own life. So designing your life the way you want it to be, taking accountability for yourself, right? Be the architect of your own life. And I love that. I love that, how Hill puts that, right? So be the architect of your life. Design your life. You can do that, right? In the process of making that happen, eventually you will want to physically see, right? You will want to physically see somebody who can help you, somebody who looks like what it is that you're trying to be. Right, you will want to physically see that, right? And this is where we start talking about networking, meeting people who might not be exactly what you want, but they might be able to connect you with the next person, connect you with the next idea, connect you with the next resource. Think about it. I told you we got 86 billion estimated cells in our brain. Neurons are firing up 1,000 times per second. Not even multiply it, right? It's going to be an exponential increase. You bring one other person into the picture, now you got my brain and your brain. Now you come join a party. Now we got my brain, their brain, and your brain. It's exponential increase in mental brain power. The network is so important. Network takes that can't and makes it can, because if you don't know how to do it, somebody will have a way to do it and help you figure out, right? You might have this part of it, but you need this piece of it, right? And then they bring this piece and you bring this piece, and then boom, it goes exponential and it goes crazy. And now you can be. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now you can be. That's so vital. The network is one of the most important things. We're not going to dive too deep into that because that's a whole 30 podcast episodes on its own. The power of having a positive network. We will get into that. We will get into networks, okay? But just not this episode, right? So this to me comes off as something that might sound like a complicated topic, but it's really not a complicated topic, right? You can be what you can't see, with the nuanced explanations that I just put in there. Okay. So first step, eliminate the word can't from your vocabulary. Eliminate the word can't from your vocabulary. Step 2, see it in your mind before you see it with your eyes. See it in your mind before you see it with your eyes. Sometimes you might see it with your eyes, but then still go back and see it in your mind and amplify that. Amplify the impact that you want to have. Step 3, network. Network. Man, all right. So, hey, look, I'm gonna tell you guys, I absolutely love doing these episodes. I absolutely love making this content for you guys, and you're gonna keep on coming, right? I'm committed to you guys, committed to help you guys grow. I'm committed to help you understand that you have permission to be great and chase that greatness, because I truly believe, it might be you, if you let me know, I truly believe that somebody or multiple people, but at least somebody listening to this episode, listen to these episodes overall, is gonna do something so astronomically great, it'll rock our minds. Right. I truly believe that. And that's why I'm making these, right? I'm making these because I want to see the impacts that you guys are going to have in the future, whether you're 5 years old or whether you're 90 years old. Right. This is for you. This is for you. Right. So, hey, look, I'm going to put up some videos around here. Go ahead and click on the next video. Check that video out, because if YouTube is showing it to you, that means YouTube knows that you're going to like it. All right. Check it out. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for listening. Love you guys.